If you have ever wondered which is the best stitch for your spiral embroidery designs, wonder no more, because it has got to be the whip back stitch. And here it is. So what is a whip back stitch? It's actually a very simple stitch, and when you combine it with two different color threads, it turns out pretty perfectly. So how does a whip back stitch start? It helps to have your heat eraser pen to draw your spiral. This is a freehand spiral, just because I like freehand drawing. I like to go with the flow. So draw your spiral to your satisfaction. There's my spiral. And then you want to start with a running stitch. Pick your color and start off with a running stitch. And for your running stitch, you want to create a big running stitch with a small gap in between. And I like to embroider freehand. I rarely use a hoop. I find this very relaxing. Sitting on the couch, freehanding, listening to an audiobook. So this is what I'm talking about. Big running stitch, small gaps between your running stitches. And you want to continue doing that for as long as you want that color. So I'm going to keep doing my running stitch here with this green, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to do the whip back. Remember, when you're doing freehand embroidery, you want to keep your stitches loose. If you have a fabric that stretches like this one, you definitely want to keep those stitches very, very loose. So and don't mind how awkward I'm holding my needle. It's because I'm recording. Usually I like to hold the fabric pretty close to my face, but with the recording I have to hold it further out. And I'm also trying to reduce too much movement so that the camera doesn't lose its focus. So I'm still working on my pillow cushions. I've had a previous video, I'm going to link it down here, where I got these decorative pillow covers from a thrift store, and I've been using them to work on my embroidery. So I completed one pillow, I started another one in black, which I didn't like very much, so it's kind of hanging out in purgatory as I decide what to do with it. And I decided to start on this one. So I'm going to keep going until my green thread is done. So running stitches around your spiral, and I will be back. I forgot to mention here that as you're doing the running stitch, every couple of stitches try and do a back stitch, just like this, and then go back on the stitch, and that kind of just secures your running stitches, so if they get snagged on something, the whole pattern is not going to get pulled on. So I try to do that every couple of running stitches, about every 5 or 10. I don't really keep a count. It's just when I remember, I will do a back stitch. So still going on here. I find embroidery extremely relaxing. It's almost meditative, and for me it is so relaxing. It's almost addictive. Like, I could do this all day. And I have to remind myself I can't just do this all day. I have to do other things too. But it's very relaxing. It reminds me of, I grew up in Kenya, and my grandmother used to weave baskets. As she got older, you know, she couldn't do any farm work anymore, but one of the things she loved was weaving baskets. They would harvest the sisal plant, scrape the sisal from the plant, let it dry. She knew what tree leaves to collect for different colors, so she would dye the sisal herself, and then she would work on the sisal, or twining it on her thigh. So she would roll the sisal on her thigh like this to prepare it, and then she would weave these beautiful, humongous baskets. And I realized a lot of the elderly people back in the day always had a craft that they worked on. This kept their minds busy, kept their fingers moving, and you know, ensured that they still felt like productive members of society. Unfortunately, we've kind of lost that. I have to take this off. That stitch is too big. So I know being bored is important, but I also think that's what at least psychologists tell us, that sometimes you have to get bored. It's okay to be bored, to do nothing. But it's also okay to have activities like this where it's something you enjoy doing. It's something that does not require a whole lot of thought. It's something that relaxes you. It's really important to find things that relax you and bring you some joy. I also do other things. I mean, I love jogging. I jog quite a bit. I love going to the gym. I love lifting weights. I like creating. I'm also currently working on my female warrior costume for the Renaissance Festival. It's coming along slowly. I actually have to do a video for that. I love crafting, but I struggle with doing videos because I actually craft for the joy of it, and sometimes I'm just in a mood to sew something, but not so much to do the videos. The videos take a lot of work. They look easy when they're up and running on YouTube, but they're quite a bit of work. So I am approaching the end here. I'm going to do another back stitch, and the last couple of stitches I do quite a number of back stitches to make sure that the embroidery is secured. So on here is a whip stitch, and I will start on the outside. You could also start in the middle, you know, whichever one you desire. And I've made a knot. I made a knot at the end of, this is a 6-strand embroidery yarn, so I've made a knot. I'm going to start at the bottom here on top of the last stitch that I have. I'm going to go back, and then what I like to do is to open up that 6-strand, you know, like just divide it half and half and pass my needle through, especially for this fabric that I have that has a very loose weave, and that just secures it. And then I'm gonna come back to the top, and I'm gonna start my whipping, which is so much fun. This is one of the easiest embroidery stitches I've ever done. And I like to hold the needle on the eye side and use that to go under the running stitch. Just like that. Go under the running stitch. And you end up having, if you're using 2 separate colors, you end up having this effect of, you have the running stitch there, and then you have the whip stitch, almost looking like a hemming stitch. So you go under it, and that's all there is to it. It is a very friendly, beginner-friendly embroidery stitch, and I am no expert, so I try not to do any complicated stitches, and I really do this for enjoyment. So I try to find stitches that are fun to do, that are not overly complicated, and this is one of those stitches. And that's what it looks like. And that's the same thing I've done on this bigger circle here. Mixed red and yellow. This is yellow on yellow. This is orange on yellow, orange on orange, deeper red, and it gives a very, very nice effect. That's what it ends up looking at like. And like I said, with embroidery, you actually don't have, you can make some pretty beautiful designs without having to use complicated stitches. Let me zoom in here so you can see this. This is circles that are made with just running stitches. Nothing else. Running stitches, and they've come out beautifully. That's a feather stitch right there. That's a fly stitch. That's a blanket stitch. So this is like a chevron. This is a chevron. This is a French knot. So you can make again, this is another whipped stitch right here. So you can make pretty beautiful designs without having to use complicated stitches, without really any equipment other than your needle and thread. So again, for the for the whipped stitch, every once in a while I will also do, and I'm sure this kind of compromises the design a little bit, but I will do a little stitch, because when you think about it, this whipped stitch is not being held by anything. So every once in a while I will do a little stitch like that, especially with a big circle, just so that that stitch is firmly down and is being held down by something. So, and I'll keep going until I reach the end. maybe the end of this yarn. And if this yarn gets finished before I get to the middle, I might actually put a different color in the middle of the circle. And so this is my second pillowcase ongoing. I make the designs as I go. Again, it's freehand. It's supposed to be something that's relaxing, so something that's not complicated. I will go with the flow. I will just quickly show you the pillow that I have already completed. And I've shown this pillow before. And you can see this pillow has 1,001 different styles. It's got feather stitch, it's got chevron, it's got a sheaf. There's a sheaf stitch that I really like. It's got a sheaf stitch, that one right there. It's got running stitches, sheaf stitches there that are really pretty. It's got lots of running stitches. Again, you see you can actually make a really nice design with just running stitches. And it's got a blanket stitches here made to look like little rainbows. So I really enjoyed doing this pillowcase, and I can't wait to get this one going. This one predominantly, the design is just focusing on circles. That's predominantly what they design. So there's going to be a lot of circles or spirals, and that's the foundation of this style. Where it leads me, where it goes, I'm not really sure. I started off with these two circles on the corner, then I ended up putting a circle that's slightly off center. So I'm thinking I might continue a bit of like a half circle this way, coming this way, and then do something else here on this corner, something else here on this corner. At the end of it, I want to have 4 pillows that have all these bright colors and quirky embroidery designs, and at some point I'll do a video showcasing all of them. So back to today's video. That is a whip back stitch. It's one of the easiest stitches you'll ever do. It's great for a beginner, and it's really good for spiral designs. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us for more cheap fun crafting. See you later.